Hey, welcome back. So in this video, I would like to talk about the universal similarities that unite us all as humans. To me, conscious communication begins with recognizing that we are all similar in more ways that we're different. There's this classic saying that underneath every behavior is a feeling, and underneath every feeling is a need. And so while we may have differences in behavior based on our personality, based on our cultural upbringing, based on the various experiences that we've had, the underlying needs are all the same for humans. And so if we can understand that everyone is just trying to go around fulfilling their needs, it allows us to better empathize, better see things through the perspective of others. And again, while we may disagree on certain behavior, we can appreciate that we're all just trying to fulfill our needs. And hopefully we can all find ways to fulfill our own needs in a way that again allows others to do so as well. So one way to look at our universal similarities and the needs that we all share is through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I'm not going to go into too much detail of it, but it's basically just sharing that we all have these different levels and we all need to eat, sleep, survive, feel safe, feel love and belonging, feel self-respect and get the respect and feel significant and important through our work, through our community, through our legacy, and self-actualize to really become the best that we're able to become. And this is true for any individual, any human being on this planet. And so again, while our behavior is different in different environments, cultures, etc., we all have these underlying similarities. Another way to think about it, it's similar ideas but framed a little bit differently, is through Tony Robbins and the 6 human needs. So we have certainty, again, kind of that security of food, water, job, financially, etc. There's also a little bit of uncertainty and variety, love and connection, belonging, significance and importance, esteem. And the last 2, the needs of the human spirit, those kind of self-actualization needs of continuous growth and contribution to the world. And again, we all need these needs. Some are prioritizing certain ones more than others. It just depends again on your personality, your upbringing, etc. But we all have these needs and we all find a way to meet them in different ways. And it's just a matter of finding the healthiest, most constructive ways to meet those needs. But we all find a way to meet these needs one way or another. So a lot of times the way we're doing so is maybe not helping the future us. For example, drinking. It might allow us to feel uncertain and variety in the moment, but it comes at a potential cost to our future selves and potentially those around us as well. So again, I want to emphasize understanding these needs, and just realizing that, again, we're all human, we all share the same needs, and to go back to that whenever we're having conflicts with other people. So next is emotions. That's another similarity that we all have, is the fact that we're emotional beings. We like to think we're intelligent and rational, but in truth, we are often more controlled by our emotions, and nothing is more important to all of us than the way we feel. Even those who really try to be stoic, who really try to be rational and intellectual, they're still doing that because they believe that thinking in that way will allow them to feel a certain way, whether that's peace, tranquility, etc. So what are emotions? They're a complex psychological state that involves a subjective experience, and subjective is important, a physiological response, and then a behavioral or expressive response. And so emotions are kind of like a compass, if you will. They're just information, they're an indicator of telling, that is feedback for us to assess how we're doing in life. And it's to match our internal system with our external reality. And so when we experience an emotion, there's two things we can do. We can either change our environment, change something externally, or change something internally. And again, like a compass, it points us in a direction that allows us to ideally take the appropriate action to deal with whatever comes our way. The fact that half of emotion is internal, or it's all internal, but that a large component is that it is based on our subjective experience, means that we have some choice in the emotions that we feel. A lot of our baseline emotions are based on our personality, based on the way we were raised, based on certain wounds and traumas we may have experienced. And so those are all things that we can work to heal in order to shift our baseline tendencies in terms of our emotional states. So I just have a quick little slide on the neurotransmitters that result in the emotions that we feel, kind of like the primary colors, and mixing those concoction of neurotransmitters added on to our perception creates the emotions that we experience. So like I mentioned, we have kind of a positive and negative, quote unquote, positive and negative emotional system. And we can also label that as comfortable or uncomfortable. And again, the point of this is like a compass. It is to allow our minds and our bodies to orient towards, let's say, our highest self, our ideal path. And when we have everything in line, then we feel both positive and negative emotions, but in a calibrated, balanced way. It's not just to feel happy all the time, or to feel joy all the time, or to feel excitement all the time. There's a nice balance that we want to achieve to maximize our way through the world. And so again, the optimal state is not necessarily just to experience positive emotion, but to maintain an emotional state that is appropriate to our current circumstances. And so when our compass, that is our emotions, is skewed in a certain way, it's up to us to realize that that's all that is information, and we can either change our internal state or our external circumstances to how the compass point true north towards where we really want to go, which is our ideal selves, becoming our ideal selves. And this is important to share also because not only is it important for our own self-awareness, it's also valuable to realize that everyone else is similarly guided by their emotions. And the more that we can help others achieve regulation in their emotional states, that's part of where the emotional intelligence comes in and where that benefits you as a conscious communicator. Next, I'll talk a little bit about micro-expressions. It's just an awareness piece, and it's a universal piece. So micro-expressions are involuntary facial expressions. They reflect 7 universal emotions: disgust, fear, anger, sadness, happiness, contempt, surprise. They are unconscious. They're kind of automatic responses occurring in a fraction of a second. They're universal, so regardless of culture, language, or background, where we've all evolved to have these micro-expressions. And they're often misinterpreted or missed by most people. especially obviously those who don't have this awareness. And understanding microexpressions enhances our emotional intelligence because it allows us to get a quick glimpse into how someone is feeling, because they're involuntary reactions. And unlike regular facial expressions that can be manipulated, it's virtually impossible to hide or fake microexpression reactions. And so when someone is trying to conceal how they're truly feeling, they'll often leak their true emotion via microexpression. For example, I might be very angry or very sad, and I might display some sadness or some contempt, but then try to hide it with like a smile or something like that. And if you're observant and perceptive, then you can notice that at play, and allows you to be more in tune with how the person is actually feeling. So those are some universal similarities that we all share as human beings. And again, for me, this is the foundation of being a conscious communicator, because whenever we're having differences in stories, when we're having differences in interpretation and perception of certain behaviors, it's important that we go back, take a step back, and realize that we are all more similar than we are different, that we are all just trying to fulfill our needs. And the behavior oftentimes just come through conditioning, and we can debate the behavior, but just recognize that we're all trying to fulfill our needs, and hopefully that allows us to start from a point of mutual connection, and we can have a dialogue in a more constructive, positive space. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.